morning, everyone. Welcome to the Royal Armouries Amphitheatre. My name is Mike. This is Richard. We are both part of the interpretation team here at the museum. It's our job to bring this place to life, and what we're going to do for you today is a bit of sword fighting. But before we get started, there's one thing I'd like you to keep in mind. If at any point you want to leave, and we hope you don't, but if you do, please leave up the stairs behind you, not towards us when we're swinging swords around. Because if we don't see you and we accidentally decapitate you, well, that's bad for the insurance.
It's also bad for TripAdvisor.
Really bad for TripAdvisor. So with that in mind, we'll get started. How about a couple of outfits?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Ah, no, you
Yeah, well,
You yield.
Yeah, of course I can.
Good.
Just warm you up.
Ah! No.
Was he trying to cut it?
After you do one more.
No, we'll leave it. They'll do some talking first and then we'll try and even it out later.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw is a couple of bouts from our medieval sword fight. What we're going to do is Richard is going to tell you about the weapon itself. I'm going to tell you about some of the techniques, and then we'll have another couple of bouts at the end. So, Richard, the weapon.
Right, so this is a medieval sword. As you can see, it's quite long, so you tend to use it with two hands, hence medieval two-handed longsword. There you go. Back to you, Mike.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there's more.
There's a lot more.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Yes, you can use it with two hands, but as you can see, it's quite light. You can very comfortably use it with just one. It tends to be a myth about weapons in general that they're quite heavy and sluggish to use. Well, if they're really heavy, then you're just going to tire yourself out really quickly. So most weapons are a lot lighter than you might think. Excuse me. That's too much coffee this morning. They're also a lot more versatile than you might think. You don't necessarily have to keep your hands on the handle. You can put your hands on the blade itself. Now, this is a very silly thing to do, so kids watching, please don't try this at home. The only reason why we're doing this is because we are trained professionals. Sort of. But there is method to the madness. If I grasp the blade quite tightly and don't allow it to move, theoretically, it shouldn't cut my hand. Theoretically. It's almost like a steak. If you imagine trying to cut into one, you use a sawing motion, not pushing down. So long as it doesn't move along my hand, it should be okay. And with this, I can turn this into a variety of different weapons, not just a sword. But it's all right talking about it, I might as well show you. So, Mike, would you be very kind and cut down for my head, leaving me in twain?
Yeah, it'll be a very short show.
Yeah, that's all right.
You ready?
Yep.
Good.
Right, so with Mike's incoming attack, I can put my hand on the blade thus and block this attack, and from here I can knock Mike's blade to the side and do what's known as half swording. Basically, hand halfway down the sword. Now I've turned it into more of a spear-like weapon, and it gives me a lot more thrust and manoeuvrability and accuracy. Right?
No.
Right. Not only that, but I can also put both hands on the blade if I really wanted to, and turn this bit, it's called the cross guard, normally there to protect the hand, but effectively turning it into a pickaxe. This is called the Mortschlag, or the murder strike, and from here I can just embed it straight into Mike's skull. Or, if he's feeling clever and wants to block it, I can just use it to knock his blade down, and then use this bit instead. It's called the pommel. It's normally there to counterweight the blade, but on this occasion, it doubles very effectively as a tooth removal device. And I can give Mike a very good pommeling, or pummeling, which is where it comes from. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the medieval two-handed longsword. Thank you. Is that more what you were after?
Yeah, literally after it, isn't it?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Fair enough. Right, so how do we know all of this? Well, some of it is obvious. Pointed bit for stabbing, sharp bit for cutting, but as Richard said, holding onto the blade does seem a bit unusual. Now the reason we thought, well, the reason we know people fought like this is because we are lucky enough to have fight manuals that survived from the medieval period, showing us exactly how people were taught to fight. Now the earliest European fight manual dates from the year 1300, but we've been using one that was written closer to 1460, 1470. It was written by a man called Hans Talhofer. He named it the Vet Book, or the Fight Book. And inside its pages, it gives you some beautiful pictures of two men fighting, and it gives you a single sentence telling you how to get there. The problem is the sentence is quite cryptic. Now, by that I mean, I'll show you on the techniques. Richard, I just want you to stand facing backwards for me.
All right.
I want to show the image first. Now I'm going to borrow this. That's going to be on your shoulder. The final image is that. All right. That's what I'm trying to get to. And the only information it gives me is after seizure of blade slip through. That's it. Alright. So that's what I've got to work off. It's quite a cryptic manual in the fight book. So how would we get ourselves in that position? Well, I'm going to make the assumption that we're starting in a similar guard of the side position, and I'm going to make a further assumption that Richard is going to attack me, not the other way around, and he's going to cut for my neck, which will be so kind. Now the first thing I'm doing is closing that gap. I'm stepping in, I'm not stepping away, I'm stepping in. Of course I'm blocking that so my head doesn't fall off, and from this position I can seize my opponent's blade. I can grab onto it. Now if you remember, it tells me after seizure of blade to slip through. Now, what does slip through actually mean? Perhaps it means slip through his defense, which in turn could mean charge forward, push forward. Now I'm going to do this slowly. Let's slow-mo impression for me, Richard. Okay. All right. This is possibly what happens if I slip through.
It isn't really bad. He was too brave.
In reality, if I'm really doing this at full speed, I've just smacked Richard in the face with the cross guard, potentially of both of our swords. Now that's not good for us because we have to do this on a regular basis, but if I'm trying to hurt someone, it's perfect. Now there's only one thing left to do from this position, and that's, remember, that's a kick. So if I step backwards and kick him in the small of the back, his neck falls between the two blades, and now it's a simple matter of asking him to surrender.
Yes, I surrender.
Or killing him.
No.
And that's Richard's neck. And me in the splash zone as
He's
well.
standing
No
up.
good. Now, we don't know if that's a bit means because we can't travel back in time and ask Hans Talhofer himself, but it seems to work. And the only way to really know if these works is to, well, kill a person. We've been told we're not allowed to do that anymore. Never mind. But when we're putting our fights together, we're not just doing one or two moves, we're artificially extending it to give you a broad spectrum of techniques that Hans Talhofer was hopefully trying to teach us. So shall we go through the first combat?
Yes.
Just talk through what it is we were trying to do. Now, a fight has to start. And if possible, you're going to start from a position that will give you some form of advantage. Now, in fight manuals, you may refer to certain guards, if you like. Now, a guard is a position often whilst you're holding a weapon. So what guard are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for the Kerniger, or crown stance, so called because the blade is pointing upwards like a crown, which I so deserve because I'm a handsome young prince and I will kill anybody who says otherwise.
Fair enough.
Otherwise,
Alright, now, that's a very strong position, one that could easily cleave me in two. So you've gone high, I'm going to go low and go for the Alba, or the Fool's Guard.
Very fitting.
Thank you. So why is it called the Fool's Guard? Well, it could be because I'm pointing my sword at the floor, not at Richard, which is a foolish thing to do. Or it could be called the Fool's Guard because of this.
Hey! Oh.
Because if it charges forward, he skewers himself on the end of my sword, so he would be a fool, not me. And a shish kebab.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So, how are we going to start? Now, Richard's not going to simply charge forward, so what are you going to do instead?
No, I prefer not to be the ball, so I'm going to go around Mike's defences and I'm going to try and aim for his leg. Because if he ain't got no leg, the fight is over very quickly.
So, first rule of defence, move out of the way. Because if I'm not there, he simply can't hit me. But for added insurance, I'm going to place my blade in the way. Now for my opening attack, I'm going to copy Richard and go for his leg.
Ooh, I'm also going to copy Mike's defence and knock his blade out of the way. The cut for the leg didn't work, so now I'm just going to cleave him straight in cut.
A sloping parry guides his blade away, but importantly, I can still see Richard through this window. Hello. So I'm going to swing around and try and cut his head off.
Oh, I'm going to block Mike's attack, and once again I can use the cross guard to knock Mike's blade out of the way and then go for his torso. Yeah.
Leap out of the way like a young gazelle. Now, if I'm being honest with you guys, chances are I wouldn't have got out of that. He was the old guy who I killed last week. So, Richard being really nice, and he pulled that back. If he was being quite mean, he would slice my belly open, and my insides would now be outsides, and that would be the show over. So let's just use our imagination a bit. Let's just tweak reality. I jump out of the way, I grab hold of my own sword to use that half swording technique that Richard mentioned. And I'm going to go for his right eyeball. Left.
Once again blocking the attacks, and from here, now we're in a sort of bind. What I can do is send my blade down Mike's, knocking his to the ground and putting mine in a perfect position to shove it straight through Mike's
six-pack.
Six-pack. Like this.
In a long knockdown. Stepping backwards, knocking the sword aside. Sword up high, I'll bring it straight down, cut him in two.
Once again, stepping out of the way using a sloping parry, and this time I'm going to hack his head off.
Nope. Blocking it. Now, in reality, instead of blocking like this, I might instead choose to block like so. It's called a wind, and it basically allows me to quickly and easily thrust through the face and into the brain. But that's quite dangerous. So instead, I am going to block with the sword pointing up. I'm going to use the cross guard to bind his sword over the top of my head and use that heavy counterweight, the pommel, to knock a few of his teeth out.
There you go. We're just going to grab his hand so that it is now useless, drag him downwards, and place the sword on the back of his neck, asking him kindly to yield. Do you yield?
No, I've got your leg.
No. You lose.
Yeah, no.
There you go.
No. So hopefully that gives you an understanding, a rough understanding at least, of how it is we put our combats together. Now you've seen that fight a bit faster and more slowly. We'll do it again, but we'll change it a little bit, so you're not seeing just the same stuff over and over. Now we're going to start the same, but we'll challenge each other to change just one of the moves ever so slightly in order to hopefully get a different result. Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. What are we on?
It's a draw, it's 1-1.
Oh, is it a draw?
All to play for.
Okay.
Alright, it's not over yet.
I mean, it can be. I'm winning.
With wise? I really get killed.
I need him.
Hang on. I've got.
No. I win that one. Right, well that's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed.
He was bored.
It's a draw.
Yeah, so what?
Draw's rubbish.
Alright.
Yeah. Do you like a draw, or would you rather see a decisive victory?
God, you're demanding this lot, aren't you? I suppose you get what you pay for, don't you? Well, alright, tell you what, let's make it interesting.
Guns.
No, not guns, not again. Seeing as how you want to see another one, we'll do a little bit of audience participation, shall we? Put your hands up if you don't believe in audience participation.
They're not getting involved in the fight, are they?
Thank you, one person.
Really excuse the numbers against me.
No, I'll tell you what, you can decide the outcome of this final fight. Should the loser lose in a heroic, chivalric manner befitting of two fine gentlemen, such as myself and Mike here?
Myself.
Or should the loser be utterly crushed and humiliated beyond compare? So hang on a minute. We'll take a vote. Who is for heroic and chivalric? Really?
I got it.
Well, at least there's a few of them. I think I know where this is going. Who's for utterly crushed and humiliated? What a surprise! Now, there's no point counting, Mike. You can't count anyway. Right?
50-50,
I can
wasn't it?
No. Right, go on. Choose a card. Yeah, 8, 14.
70.
No.
Yes, green hair.
On that. From the room.
Are you expecting a low flying seagull? All right, well, tell you what. If you're going high, I will go low and do the hidden stand.
Oh, you're hiding it. Yeah.
So that you can't see me do this. Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask you a very important question, Mike. Do you feel utterly crushed and humiliated?
No.
Oh, yes! That'll do for me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Oh, you know, it's not that bad.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a light-hearted look at what was actually a very serious martial art. We do hope you enjoyed that. If you want to ask us any questions about what we've been doing, you're more than welcome to just come down and have a chat. I'm afraid we cannot let you hold on to the weapons themselves due to ongoing COVID restrictions, which means you have to come back when there aren't any. There you go, there is another demonstration here at 12 o'clock, I believe, and that's going to be some Japanese sword cutting. So if you're into your samurai swords, kind stuff like that, do come back and watch Key cut efficiently. Otherwise,